Excuse me. Welcome, everyone, to the Committee of Adjustment meeting. The committee will hear applications for minor variances and consents. We'll call each application by name and number and ask at that time if anybody wishes to speak regarding the application to give their name to the secretary so it can be recorded. After today, there's a 20-day waiting period before decisions are final. Allows time for appeals. If you're not the applicant or agent and you want a decision in writing, you can sign the clipboard at the back of the room. The applicant and agent will automatically be notified. And a reminder to push the button on the microphone when you go to speak and smile for the cameras. Are there any conflicts of interest to be declared by any committee members? None? I have a motion here by Marcel, seconded by Eric, and resolved that the minutes of the Committee of Adjustment meeting held Wednesday, August 15th, 2018 be adopted as circulated. Are there any errors or omissions? None, therefore, those in favor? It's carried. Okay, excuse me. Our first application is AN 184. That's the name of John Bradfield. Anyone here to speak to this one? Mr. Rowe, welcome. Anyone else? We'll have the planner explain the report.
This is a minor variance application to allow a smaller lot than permitted in the zoning bylaw. The subject lands front onto the west side of Perch Lane in the resort area of Long Point. The lands contain one vacation home and one accessory storage shed. Surrounding land uses are resort residential in nature, and many adjacent properties are similar in size to the proposed final lot size. This application is related to a deeming bylaw application, which takes two adjacent lots out of a registered plan of subdivision to be merged into one property. This minor variance application is consistent with provincial policy statement, conforms with the Norfolk County official plan, and maintains the general intent of the Norfolk County zoning bylaw. Planning staff support this application and recommend that it be approved, subject to the attached condition.
Thank you very much. Any questions of the planner or discussion? Anything from you, Mr. Rowe? Good. Marcel? Approval? Seconder? Rudy? For application AN 184 in the name of John Bradfield, I have a motion by Marcel, seconded by Rudy, that the committee approves the application requesting relief of 3,489.6 square meters from the minimum lot area of 4,000 to permit a lot area of 557.4 square meters in the resort residential zone. The application is related to the deeming application, which merges the two lots in a plan of subdivision into one. In accordance with Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, the development and requested relief is appropriate, minor in nature, maintains the intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw, and that public input was received and was considered as part of this application. Okay, so do I need to read the conditions on that? No, they're fine. No problem. Any further discussion? Those in favor of the motion? Motion's carried. Thank you. Our next application is BN 183, Daryl and Melody Slatt. Mr. Dixon, welcome. Is there anyone else here who wishes to speak? We'll have the planner explain the report then.
This is an application to sever a dwelling made surplus through farm amalgamation. The subject lands are .6 acres in size and front onto the east side of Cockshut Road in the former geographic township of Townsend. The lands contain a single attached dwelling and 4 chicken coops, which are proposed to be removed. The subject application is consistent with the PPS and conforms to the official plan regarding surplus farm dwelling severances. Staff support this application and recommend that it be approved, subject to the attached conditions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of the planner? Mr. Dixon, do you need anything? Oh, question? No? Okay. Okay. Move. For this application, I have a motion by Eric, seconded by Dennis, that we approve the application to sever a parcel with a frontage of 34.68 meters, a width of 34.68 meters, a depth of 65.78 meters, an area of 2,400 square meters, and retain a parcel with an area of 102.5 acres as a dwelling made surplus through farm amalgamation. The application is consistent with the provincial policy statement and the Norfolk County official plan regarding surplus farm dwelling severances, and no public input was received, therefore not considered in the application. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Motion's carried. Next application is AN 180, Mark Marine and Andrew Sloot. And I assume you're here for this one as well. Is there anyone else here for this one who wishes to speak? We'll have the planner explain the report then.
This is a minor variance application to recognize an existing garage in the Hamlet residential zone. The subject lands front onto the west side of Cockshut Road in the hamlet of Bills Corners, Townsend. The lands contain an existing single-family dwelling and detached garage. Surrounding land uses are primarily agricultural and rural residential to the west, south, and east, with hamlet residential uses to the north. Approval of this minor variance application is not anticipated to have any impact on surrounding property owners, as the structure has existed for many years. This application is consistent with provincial policy statement, conforms to the Norfolk County official plan, and maintains the general intent of the Norfolk County zoning bylaw. As such, planning staff support this application and recommend that it be approved.
Thank you. Any questions of the planner? Thank you. For application AN 180, it's been moved by Rudy, seconded by Eric, that we approve the application to recognize an existing accessory building requiring relief of 28.61 square meters from the maximum permitted usable floor area of 100 meters. To permit a total usable floor area of 128.61 square meters. This is a condition of approval for consent application BN 073. In accordance with Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, the proposed development and requested relief is considered appropriate development, minor in nature, and maintains the intent of the official plan and the zoning bylaw, and no public input was received, therefore not considered. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Motion's carried. Our next application is BN 181, John Lennox. Mr. Dixon again. Anyone else here wishes to speak regarding this application? No, we'll have the planner explain the report then.
This is an application to sever a dwelling made surplus through farm amalgamation. The subject lands are 1 acre in size and front onto the north side of Lynn Valley Road in the former geographic township of Woodhouse. The lands contain a single detached dwelling. The subject application is consistent with the provincial policy statement and conforms to the official plan regarding surplus farm dwelling severances. Staff support this application and recommend that it be approved, subject to the attached conditions.
Thank you very much. Is there any questions of the planner? Or Dennis? Okay. So for application BN 181, it's been moved by Dennis, seconded by Dan, that the committee approves the application to sever a parcel with a frontage of 66 meters, a width of 66 meters, a depth of 62 meters, an area of 4,092 square meters, and retain a parcel having an area of 49 acres as a severance of a dwelling made surplus through farm amalgamation. The application is being reviewed concurrently with the zoning bylaw amendment to remove the single detached dwelling as a permitted use on the retained property. This application is consistent with the provincial policy statement and the Norfolk County official plan regarding surplus farm dwellings, and no public input was received, therefore not considered. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Our next application is AN 150 Jeffrey Livingston. Is anyone here for this one? Mr. Bowl, how are you, sir? Anyone else wish to speak? Okay, your name? We'll give you the opportunity. And we'll have the planner explain the report.
This is a minor variance application to allow a farm property to have deficient frontage once two adjacent parcels are merged into one. The subject lands are located on the north side of 12 Concession Road, east of Langton in the former geographic township of North Walsingham. The lands are farmed with no existing structures present. The lands are adjacent to rural residential properties along 12th Concession Road and in a primarily agricultural area. Public input was received from this application, consisting of concerns about access to adjacent properties over the subject lands. Providing frontage to this existing farm improves the building and agricultural use opportunities on the property, even though the frontage provided does not meet the minimum required in the agricultural zone. This application, minor variance for the frontage, is consistent with provincial policy statement, conforms with the Norfolk County official plan, and maintains the general intent of the Norfolk County zoning bylaw. Planning staff support this application and recommend that it be approved.
Thank you. Any committee have any questions of the planner? At this point, Dan?
Yes, there's this report that was laying on our desk.
Right, and I believe that's the gentleman's letter. You sent the letter in, Richard? Okay.
We'll wait for that then.
Okay.
Thanks.
Anything you need to add at this point, Mr. Bull? No? Okay. As Mr. Pake, would you like to come down and? We have got a copy of your letter, and I've all read it, so you know that, and but feel free to tell us what you need to. No problem.
Sorry about that. I am a property owner right to the west of this, used to be Durham Drive. And we had bought the property last fall and didn't see no problems with being banked up on both sides with township property. So over the past 50 years, our previous owners had access to the backyard. And now, since this come up, we could lose that. And we just want to still have access. Now, I don't know if this is conveyed to adjacent properties, or because I'm all new to this.
Okay, well, you have access to your lot from the roadway?
Yeah, but there's no way I could get past the house.
Okay.
Because it drops off like 6 feet and all kinds of stuff. But, you know, it just wasn't in the plans when we bought this, because we had no knowledge of this at all.
Okay, so let me just get it clear, and I have maybe someone else says the same
I know
question.
it seems complicated.
To get to the rear of your house, to the back lot, you have to go over somebody else's property to get there.
Yeah, that piece of subject land there.
And the owners of that land allowed you to do that?
It's Norfolk County's property.
I don't believe it is.
Well, I got this was pulled up here on September 5th, and it's Norfolk County's property.
We'll get a clarification from the planner if we can. On that. Is it?
So I did confirm with our Realty Services Coordinator that that piece of roadway was closed and conveyed through a process between 2005 and 2007 to Mr. Livingston. There was public notice distributed around February of 2006, and it was posted in the newspapers for about 4 weeks. In addition, the property owners at the time on the west side and east side would have received mail notification as they live adjacent to the lands that were being closed and conveyed and may have an interest. There were comments received from the property owner to the east saying that they had no issue with the closure and conveyance to Mr. Livingston, and there was no comments received from the property owner on the west side at that time. So as such, the conveyance and sale went ahead and was completed in 2007.
That was completed in 2007? Is that what you said?
That's correct.
Or, sorry. That's not the Norfolk County property, that is private property. Is it part of the farm? I guess it is part of the farm that they're severing. So Norfolk County, it was a road allowance previously. It was closed in 2005 and sold off by the county.
I don't know if you want to read this thing. I don't know. It says Norfolk County, and in the part that I'm talking about where it says subject land right there, this past July, the name was changed on it from Haldeman Norfolk to Norfolk. So,
And what document is that?
well, can I get this?
Yep, please. Yep, that's great. Yep.
Just let me look at, see if I got any other ones.
Okay, we'll work on this for a minute, okay? Dennis?
Mr. Chair, I wonder if it'd be appropriate to ask Mr. Bowl to comment on this question of access and whether it would continue. Mr. Bowl?
Well, first of all, yeah, and that's great. No, please, come on. Do you have anything to say about the ownership issue?
I do. The planners are correct in terms of the road being closed by bylaw, but it hasn't been conveyed pursuant to that bylaw. That's in the works, I believe, in the next couple of weeks. So at the time the bylaw was put in place, there was a deed, but it didn't include all the lands. So this is a deed to rectify that. But it was closed back in 2005, 7. And Mr. Livingston paid the county money for the land, which included Durham Drive.
Out of curiosity, when was that paid? Back in 2005?
At the same time as the bylaw was implemented.
Okay. Dennis?
Just a further question, Mr. Bull. Would Mr. Livingston be of a mind to continue this gentleman access?
Well, I can't speak for Mr. Livingston, but I think you have had a discussion with him. Is that
We're
correct?
supposed to meet him and you here.
Okay, so I don't know if that can continue. I can't speak for the client on that matter. But this minor variance, I mean, that's just what we're dealing with here today. It's really not going to affect his access or not. This is just a minor variance.
Thank you. Do you have 2 copies of this?
No, I don't, sorry.
So that explains that land was closed and conveyed, and but the paperwork isn't finished on that, but it's going to be finished on it shortly. However, that was started in 2005. So you're right. The county still owns it as of today. However, they've entered into a sale agreement 10 years ago, and it has to be finished up.
That's a long time.
I can't comment on other departments. This
I know.
department's efficient.
But you must understand my point, like everybody else here. If you had a property and you had access to the back, and all of a sudden, sorry, you're going to lose it. That's what I'm here for, is to see if I can. I don't know if they can convey both ways, but
Okay. Okay, what we're here for right now is to
Yes.
deal with this minor variance. Now then, I understand your issue,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel for you, but the owner of that property you're traveling across, if you don't have a legal right-of-way, can cut you off in a minute, period. And it's got nothing to do with this committee. It's got to do with the property rights, and he owns the property, and he's let you go over it, and all of a sudden he changes his mind and says you can't go over it, you can't go over it.
right.
Nothing we do here today is going to change any of that for you.
No, but I'm just here to express my concerns. And he might say informally, yeah, you can go ahead and go across it, but if he does sell it, then that new person could say no.
And that's right, the owner of that land can stop you from crossing it unless you have a legal right established, which you can't do, which you can't do at this meeting,
Yeah.
but it can be done.
So I did talk to Mr. Steve there yesterday, and he said I could go through and talk to Jeff and this gentleman here in regards to getting a boundary adjustment and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's, we can't stop, we can't do any of that. That has to be done
Yeah.
between you and the owners of the
Yeah.
property and situated. I'm sorry to say, but
Okay,
that's the way it has to be done.
thank you.
Dan?
Recognizing that, I would move approval of this application.
For application number AN 150 in the name of Jeffrey Livingston, I would, motion by Dan, seconded by Eric, that the committee approves the application which is requesting relief of 9.89 meters from the minimum required frontage of 30 meters to allow a frontage of 20.11 meters for the subject lands in the agricultural zone. In accordance with Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, the proposed development and requested relief is considered appropriate, minor in nature, and maintains the intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw, and public input was received and has been considered in this application. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. Our next application is AN 156, Jim Kerr. Is there anyone here for this application? Yes? And you are?
I'm Gerard from Gerard Engineering.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here who wishes to speak regarding this application? We'll have the planner explain the report.
This is a minor variance application to construct a larger boathouse than permitted in the zoning bylaw. The subject lands front onto the east side of Old Cut Boulevard in Long Point. An existing cottage and an existing boathouse are located on the subject lands. There is a channel along the rear of the property, and surrounding land uses are resort residential in nature, as well as provincially significant wetland located across the channel. The subject lands fall within the Long Point Region Conservation Authority regulated area and within a Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry area of natural and scientific interest. Committee approved a minor variance in January of 2018 for a slightly smaller boathouse structure, and since that approval, the applicant has requested a larger structure, resulting in the subject application. This application is consistent with the provincial policy statement, conforms with the Norfolk County official plan, and maintains the general intent of the zoning bylaw and the general character of the area. Planning staff support this application and recommend that it be approved.
Thank you very much. Any questions of the planner? Dennis?
Just one question, Mr. Chair. I'm assuming we have other boathouses in that immediate area of similar size or close to?
Through the chair, that's correct. There are boathouses on the same channel which are similar in scale.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Oh, okay. Is that a motion? I missed you. Yeah, okay. Did you want to add anything at this point, sir?
No, thank you.
For application AN 156, in the name of Jim Kerr, we have a motion by Rudy, seconded by Dennis, that we approve this application to construct a boathouse requiring relief of 1.45 meters from the maximum permitted boathouse height of 5 meters to allow for 6.45 meters height, 30.144 square meters from the maximum permitted usable floor area for accessory structures of 100 square meters to allow for 130.1447 square meters and 74.144 square meters from the maximum permitted boathouse usable floor area of 56 meters to allow for 130.144 square meters. In accordance with Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, the development and requested relief is appropriate, minor in nature, maintains the intent of the official plan and the zoning bylaw, and no public input was received, therefore not considered. Any further discussion? Those in favor of the motion? Opposed? Thank you. Our next application is AN 175, Prominent Homes, Inc. Anyone here to speak for this one? No. We'll have the planner explain the report.
This is an application proposing to construct an addition to an existing accessory building requiring relief of 1 meter from the maximum permitted height to permit a height of 7 meters. The subject lands are 0.91 acres in size and front onto the south side of Concession 10 Townsend. The lands are vacant aside from the existing detached garage. The subject application conforms the intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw and is considered minor in nature and appropriate development. The building is separated from neighbors and generally surrounded by farmland. The new addition will match the existing building. No building permits will be issued to enlarge the detached garage until a dwelling is constructed on the property as is required by the zoning bylaw. Staff support this application and recommend that it be approved.
Marcel, thank you. Is there a house on this property? What's this building accessory to?
We don't know how it got built without that. There was some issue in building, I think, but that's why we noted that there won't be any additions permitted. We can approve the variance if you would like, but they can't actually get the building permit until the house is built.
Till the house is built. Okay, AN 175, Prominent Homes. It's been moved by Marcel, seconded by Dan, that we approve the application to construct an addition to the accessory structure requiring relief of 1 meter from the maximum permitted height of 6 meters for a height of 7 meters. In accordance with Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, the development and requested relief is considered appropriate, minor in nature, and maintains the intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw, and no public input was received, therefore not considered. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor of the motion? That motion's carried. Thank you. Our next application is AN 168, Ricky Scott and Michelle Schweier. Hello, and your name is?
Mike Quattrocchi, I'm the agent for the applicant.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else here who wishes to speak? Yes, sir, your name is? Okay, you'll get your shot here in a few minutes. Anyone else? No? We'll have the planner explain the report then.
This is an application related to a consent requiring relief from the minimum frontage, exterior side yard, interior side yard, parking spaces, and front yard landscape area. The subject lands are 350 square meters in size and front onto the north side of Grove Street in the urban area of Simcoe. The lands are vacant, and the applicant proposes to construct a semi-detached dwelling on the property. The subject application conforms the intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw and is considered minor in nature and appropriate development. The relief would result in similar deficiencies to what is found on surrounding lots in this neighborhood. Staff support this application and recommend that it be approved.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of the planner committee? Anything you'd like to add, sir, at this point? Perhaps if we get a question, which we may. Mr. Slater?
This application should not be approved because of issues with the retained lot and present proposal for future development which will cause water problems on Short Street because of no storm drains on Short Street along this area. And on the proposed where the building is going, it only says 1.89 meters from the property line, where it doesn't show here where the property line is concerning Short Street, which is only 11 feet wide. The paved part is only 11 feet wide in the front near the driveway. And back it's only 12 feet. And there's a fence 3.5 feet from the pavement, and there's another one right on the pavement at the front. And if you look at this piece of paper here, there's 1.83 meters at the back, but if you look at this, it's narrower at the front if you measured it. It would be narrower at the front, and I want to know where, because of future development, that future development is going to cause trouble with water, especially because Sherry Mott said they're going to do grading of the area, which will probably raise the area up, and the water will pour on to Short Street, and also the snow plows to the east. And how far away is the house going to be? The other houses have been there for 100 years. But this is a new development that should be stopped because we don't need any more retention, like close quarters for the street. And there's open space there, there's trees, do the trees come down? And all this stuff, and you're saying if this proposal here on the house right now will affect the future over here, and if you think about other areas, their proposals that should have looked forward instead of just thinking, well, what's this 5 minutes now, we're going to make a proposal, and it's going to cause trouble down the road. I had it happen, it wasn't me, but there's no drainage in the back of Short Street between my house and a brand new house was built 10 years ago. There's no drainage. And this is going to be the same problem for Short Street when they build that house if it's too close to the road. And it shows right here on the line, your paperwork, where is the street line. If the street line is the same as that, then it's only 5 feet from the road, and the snow will be thrown up against their house anyway. And if they raise it, their house over here is going to have water problems because there's going to be higher there. I just noticed today the basement is lower over there than if they jack up the house and put dirt up around like they did to the one next to me. There'll be water problems there and there'll be water problems on this side. That's, as far as I'm concerned, it shouldn't be approved because of the future development here that's been proposed.
I'm not sure I followed you all the way there.
Well, you got
but,
this recorded?
I'm sorry?
Is this recorded?
Absolutely.
Well, you have to take the recording and reassess it, because what I'm saying is the future development is going to cause water issues and issues on the street that is not there now. There is there, but because it's bare land, the water dissipates into that lot from the street, because the lay of the street comes down towards Grove Street, and the water runs down, and as far as I know, it runs into that grass area where when you put a house there, there's no place for the water to dissipate into the ground. And also, if they did do it, they should put at least a trench with a grate on the top all along there, so the water will go in there and down out the Grove. And I don't know whether you've been there, but there's only 11 feet between the fence line at the one end and the other fence line in the house. There's only 11 feet, and it's just like a driveway, and that's a street. So on your sheet here, where is this property line concerning the street? Is this property line right on the street? Then we got a problem when they do build the house, because it's only 1.83 meters from the property line. If the property line is right on the street, then where are they going to shove the snow when they come to the other side? They can't shove because the house has been there for 100 years. And if you shove the snow on the other side, there's no place again.
Okay. So what I'm hearing from you is you need this person to leave their land empty so that other people's water has someplace to go.
Because it's a concern which the town has. It's the town I'm talking about right now. It's the town. It's the responsibility of the town to drain streets. And they didn't drain that street when it was built, but it was built probably in the horse and buggy days. But now there's an opportunity to drain that property along the side down to the street. And if they do drain that property, then it'll be no problem. But there's no proposal here, and I don't know how you're going to, but this is the future. I'm talking about the future. In Toronto, everything's flooding because they built over asphalt and pavement and buildings. And so we have the same problem here, but nobody thinks about it for the future.
Well, part of an application for like this will be a drainage plan drawn up and approved by the city, by the county, before any building permit will be issued.
Are you going to guarantee that?
It's part of the application. It has to be done.
Well, I hope they inform me when they do it, because see, I used to be a farmer, and I know how to run water. I spent most of my early years draining water in Haldeman County. And I know how to drain water, and I know some people who go to university don't know how to drain water, because they've never seen a field in their life.
Well, that being said, in this case and in all cases for development applications, drainage is always a condition of the approval, that it has to be done, and then it has to be done to the county's satisfaction, or a building permit will never be issued.
Yeah, I hope this is retained for years to come.
I can tell you it's just one more rule that makes people mad, but it's necessary. So,
Okay, that's all I have to say.
thank you for your time. Okay, so Dennis.
Mr. Chairman, just a question to staff, if I may. Would it be a stretch to call this a kind of a hybrid infill?
Through the chair, it's completely infill, yes.
Oh, okay.
Perfect example of infill.
Okay, thank you. And infills are encouraged in the communities, right?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Dan?
Mr. Chairman, I'm assuming there's no storm drainage in this area.
I'm sorry?
There's no storm drainage in this area?
Well, not on Short Street, but there may be on Grove Street, I don't know. Does anyone know?
There's drainage on Grove, but it does not, the water, when it comes down the hill, will drain into that area.
Yeah.
Because that way it's sloped from the north to the south.
But there is drainage on Grove
On
Street.
Grove, but there's none on Short, and Short is a narrow street.
Right.
The other street's wide, it's nice and wide, there's no problem.
Yes.
But we could presume then that when there's a lot grading plan, might require some improvement of storm drainage. for this
Very
area.
possible. The water has to go somewhere,
Right.
and it can't go on the neighbors.
Thirdly, Mr. Chairman, we have, I think, 5 conditions here that reflect well, the first condition is lot grading plan. And then there's other conditions from the engineering department. So on that basis, I would move we approve this application.
Okay. Dennis?
Second, Mr. Chair.
So for application AN 168, in the name of Ricky Scott and Michelle Schweier, it's been moved by Dan, seconded by Dennis, that the committee approves the application to grant relief of 0.16 meters from the minimum required lot frontage of 11.5 to permit a frontage of 11.34, 4.17 meters from the minimum required exterior side yard of 6 meters to permit an exterior side yard of 1.83 meters, 2.05 meters from the minimum required interior side yard of 3 meters to permit a side yard of 0.95 meters, 2 spaces from the minimum required number of parking spaces of 4 to permit 2 spaces, and 4% from the minimum required front yard landscape of 50% to permit a landscape of 46%. In accordance with Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, the development and requested relief is considered appropriate, minor in nature, and maintains the intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw, and public input was received and has been considered as part of the application. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Motion's carried. It's an easy change. So BN 169 is the same, it's just the severance application that goes with the minor variance application. And you're still here. Welcome, welcome again.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And is there anyone who wants to speak about the severance of the property? Well, if you want to tell us the same thing, we heard it. But if you want to tell us something new, you can. We'll have the planner explain the report.
This is an application to create a lot having an area of 366 square meters. The subject lands contain a single detached dwelling, and the retained lands are vacant and were the subject of the previous minor variance. This application is consistent with the provincial policy statement and conforms to the official plan regarding lot creation in an urban area. It's an excellent opportunity for an infill lot and will match the character of the neighborhood. Staff support this application and recommend that it be approved subject to the attached conditions.
Thank you very much. Any questions of the planner? Marcel? Rudy? Okay. I have a motion by Marcel, seconded by Rudy, that the committee approves the application to sever a parcel with a frontage of 11.629 meters, a width of 11.323 meters, an irregular depth of 32.479 meters, an area of 366 square meters, and retain a parcel with an area of 350 square meters as the creation of a lot within the urban area of Simcoe. Application is consistent with the provincial policy statement in the Norfolk County Official Plan regarding lot creation in an urban area. And did we or didn't we have input on this one? Well, and public input was received and therefore was considered as part of the application. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. Our next application is AN 185, Warren D. Sinclair Construction Limited, I believe. Very good, thank you. Anyone else here to speak? Ooh, we got them all over. Okay, you, sir. Name? And you, sir? Al? Thank you. We'll have the planner explain the report.
This is a minor variance application associated with the proposed townhouse condominium development. The subject lands are located at the end of Fernwood Drive within the urban boundary on the west side of Simcoe. The lands are currently vacant, with single-family residential uses located to the north, woodlots to the east and west, and agricultural uses to the south. Public input was received and was considered as part of the staff recommendation. Relief was requested for a portion of the proposed 71 units for front, rear, and side yard setbacks, as well as the number of parking spaces for a portion of the proposed units. Given the higher density of this development, the requested relief is considered minor in nature, consistent with the provincial policy statement, conforms to the Norfolk County Official Plan, and staff support this application and recommend that it be approved.
Thank you very much. Committee have any questions of the planner? No. Anything you wish to speak about now, or do you wish to wait till after we hear?
I'll hold off until any comments are received from the public.
It's Peter, is it? Oh, can you push the button on the? Very good, thank you.
Okay, I live at 75 Thompson Road, and it abuts the development in question. Okay, we purchased our property about 18 months ago, and we were aware at the time that there was to be a condo development behind our property. We were told it was an upscale development by a good builder. Now that could be just realtor talk, but I do believe them. I know there's a demand for housing, but I was quite surprised by the development being for 71 units. And I think that's that's very intensive for our community. In fact, I can't think of an area in our region that will have more density. I know that communities have regulations that put limits and minimums on lot sizes, road widths, etc. These are known to planners and developers beforehand, and when I look at the plan provided to me, it appears that the whole development has barely met the minimums in most cases. We bought our property in good faith with no expectation that there would be 7 breaches of the minimum allowances within meters of our property, and therefore I object to any easement as requested. But in addition, I have concerns about the development as it affects our neighborhood and our town in general. The roads, I believe the roads in the development, I believe, are at the minimum width. At present, there's only one access road, and that's Thompson Road. This neighborhood has many families, some with small children, who walk on the road. In snowy weather, The street is narrow, and any large truck for construction creates a substantial hazard for all the residents. When this development is completed, the 71 units will have between 100 and 140 vehicles, I'm estimating. This will create a very difficult and dangerous conditions on the streets for any pedestrians, both the current residents and also the new residents. I think they've got too many people, too few roads, and too narrow roads. I think we need to protect our new neighbors in this project, even in good weather. So I think this is either too dense, and they knew the minimums, and they are right at the minimums in so many cases. So I guess I'm against the easement of the minimums, and also and the density, and I want to see where it's going to go to in our community.
Okay, thank you very much. Is this, I assume this property is all zoned properly for this? Was it specific zoning for this done by council? Okay. Sorry. Alan.
Yes, my name is Alan Kidd, and I live at 84 Thompson Road. I have one of the properties that will be affected by this development. When you look at the plan has, as my friend Peter said, most of the minimum requirements. The roads are narrow. There is not enough parking for the number of units that are being proposed. And in some cases here, with regards to the amendments, they are, at this point, asking for additional amendments to reduce the number of parking lots. Aside from that nature of it, I, being a previous planner, do know that the roads being proposed are not of proper size to my previous standards when I was working. There are several things that they are proposing that are going to create a density on only one access road, Thompson Road and Fernwood. Fernwood is the access road. Thompson Road, of course, joins that road. And if you drive down Thompson Road at all, that road has parking all over the place, on the side, on the streets. So to have that number of cars, additional cars, being sent down one access point does not make sense. As Peter had said to this, there is problems with safety for children. There is problems with probably accidents occurring because people are going to hurry. And Thompson Road does have a neighborhood area that I'm sure most of you would prefer that amount of traffic does not come down that road. Bottom line being is, I think the proposal is a very high density proposal for the said lands that are being permitted. If anything, there should be a secondary access road to that particular development, and that has not been proposed at all.
Okay.
I think most of what's been occurring with discussion, Peter and I have said what a number of the residents have said to us in regards to this plan.
Thank you for your comments. I just, your comments are excellent against the proposed 71 unit, but that's already gone to council and has already been approved.
No, we understand that part. However,
Were you at council? Did you give the same arguments when it went to
did not
council?
I did not receive anything because we're only just new to the area.
Okay.
And therefore, you know, as to being at particular meeting, I did not have access to that.
I just want you to understand that part's already approved.
Yeah.
What we're dealing with is 6 minor variance requests.
Those minor variances are also increasing, by the way, the density and also reducing the number of parking.
As long as you know,
In the
we're
development.
not dealing with the 71 units, we're dealing with
Understand.
the minor variance requests. And
Yeah.
that's so you understand what we are doing. Dennis?
Mr. Chairman, I'm assuming that when council would have approved this, they would have been mindful that some minor variances would have been necessary. Is that fair?
That's an assumption. Maybe a planner could give us an expert answer.
There is an active site plan application on this property currently, and the minor variances were discovered at the time of site plan application, where it gets to the details of setbacks and where the units are located.
Okay.
Keep in mind, I'm not trying to, I understand the plan's been approved. However, you could create an additional problem on Thompson Road.